Good morning. I'm Councillor Diane Donaldson and I'll be chairing this hearing of Subcommittee A of the Licensing and Public Protection Committee of Birmingham City Council. Before we start, can you all please mute your microphones for the moment in order to improve the sound quality whilst I outline the procedure. Can you also please turn off your cameras with the exception of the committee members unless you're the person speaking. This is to reduce bandwidth. Could everyone attending today's meeting please put their mobile phones on silent and ensure they are situated in a room or environment which is free from distractions or any unnecessary noise emanating from radios and TVs, etc. Thank you for that. I'm speaking slowly and clearly so everyone can follow. It is vitally important, for what I hope are obvious reasons, that those attending the meeting and making representations are able to hear me and members of my subcommittee and officers. Any distractions brought to my attention could result in the meeting being suspended temporarily or to another date and time under the regulations for these types of meetings. I also confirm this is a public meeting and is therefore being live streamed on the City Council's website in order that the general public can view it. This meeting will be webcast for live or subsequent broadcast via the Council's meeting YouTube site, the details which can be found in the agenda, and that members of the press public may record and take photographs except where there are confidential or exempt items. Members are reminded that they must declare all relevant pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests arising from any business to be discussed at this meeting. If a disclosable pecuniary interest is declared, a member must not speak or take part in that agenda item. Any declarations will be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Apologies were submitted on behalf of Councillor Davis and Councillor Donaldson. Myself was a nominated substitute member. And I welcome you to this hearing for an application in respect of TMC Cafe and Lounge, 81 Buckingham Street, Birmingham, B19 3HU. I'll begin with some introductions. My name is Councillor Donaldson, Diane Donaldson. I'm chairing this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. With me, the other members of the subcommittee, Councillors Mary Locke and Simon Morrell.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Also present in the meeting are the following officers: the Licensing Officer, Apindra Nandra.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Committee Manager, Katie Townsend.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. And Committee Lawyer, Joanne Swampalai.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Can I ask all parties to identify themselves, please? Firstly, the applicant, Poet Nguse.
Hi, good morning, guys. My name is Farwat Musa.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Ryan Skidmore, representative.
My name's Brian Skidmore, representative for Farwat Ngusi.
And we have Gabrielle Malas as well. Is that correct? No. Okay.
Chair, sorry to interrupt. They are on the list as attending, so we have them in the meeting.
Right.
They are muted at the moment, so they might want to unmute their microphone.
Did you hear my one?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello,
Sorry, who's that?
that's Ryan Skidmore. Did you get that? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, good morning.
Okay. Morning.
So there's Gabrielle, and is that KV London?
Yes. They're on mute at the moment.
They are in the meeting, okay. So next there's making representations. Could I ask if any persons making representations wishes to withdraw their representations at this stage of the hearing? No, so I will assume silence means no. I will assume that all parties have read and understood the licensing committee's procedural rules sent out with the notice of today's hearing. Please note that given the nature of today's proceedings, I may at my discretion amend the procedural rules to reflect the fact that this meeting is taking place online, but wish to assure you all that such amendments will not impact the party's right to a fair hearing. We'll be using the chat function in Microsoft Teams to communicate. One of the icons on your toolbar is a speech bubble. Click the speech bubble to go into chat. If you do not have access to the chat function for any reason, please use the raise a hand function to indicate you wish to speak. That button is usually fourth from the right from the top on the toolbar. You can also, of course, indicate verbally that you wish to speak at the appropriate time. Can you all confirm that you have access to the chat facility by typing your own name now? Officers will also type their job title. The meeting will not proceed until you all have done so. Is that everyone, Katie?
Chair, we're still waiting for Mr. Malice to put his name in the chat.
I am here. Sorry, I presented myself to the chair.
That's fine, Chair.
No, that's Gabriel Malice.
Can you type in the chat, Gabriel, if possible?
Sorry,
Can you just type in the chat, if possible? If not, no worries.
what do you mean by
Type your name into the chat. It's just
yeah?
for
Gabriel Malice.
Okay, that's fine. We'll accept that.
Could you switch your camera off, Mr. Malice? Just for now and until you present your.
Is that okay?
Perfect, thank you. Just bear with me, I'm having issues with my computer, it seems to be freezing. Right, so can we all keep this chat column open for the entire duration of the meeting in order that everyone can follow the messages being posted in the chat? If any participant has dialed in on an audio telephone rather than Microsoft Teams, please speak now. to confirm that you can hear and be heard. Don't believe we have anyone dialing in this morning. With the exception of subcommittee members, please keep your camera off unless you're the person speaking. If there are any problems with bandwidth which cause difficulties with the sound, I may, in my discretion, ask everyone to turn their cameras off in order that the meeting can proceed with everyone able to hear and be heard. Would everyone mute their... Thank you. Does anyone wish to make any preliminary points at this stage? If so, please indicate that you wish to raise a point by typing speak into the chat function or using the raise a hand function now. Thank you. I'll now briefly outline the procedure that will be following at today's hearing. Firstly, the Licence Officer, Applicant Nandra, will present the report. The applicant will be asked to present their case. We're asking if this could be kept to approximately 20 minutes. Then those making representations will be invited to make their case. Again, we ask if this could be kept to approximately 20 minutes. Could all parties speak as slowly and clearly as they possibly can, because the officers are taking notes by hand for the minutes. And the meeting is also being live streamed by the City Council's website. If at any time it's someone else's turn to speak, please mute your microphone and use the chat function to communicate if necessary. Please note that members of the subcommittee will be able to ask questions at any stage, but will try to do so at the conclusion of each presentation. Cross-examination by the applicant and those making representations will not be permitted unless the members consider it appropriate. Where questions are raised by members of the subcommittee or those present, they must signify this using the chat facility set out on the right-hand side of the screen you're viewing this meeting on. The meeting manager will alert me if I do not notice messages in the chat. I will determine verbally or in writing or in the chat facility the order in which the questions are dealt with. So at any point in the meeting, if you wish to speak, please type the word speak into the chat function and the meeting manager will ensure that we come to you at the appropriate moment. If at any point you cannot hear or having problems with your internet connection, please use a chat facility to alert the meeting manager. The chair will then ask the person speaking to repeat what they have just said. It is therefore important that you use a chat function as soon as you are unable to hear the person speaking. It may well be there's a problem caused by people still having their microphones or cameras on, which creates interference. So I will remind everyone, please mute your microphones and turn off your cameras when you're not the person speaking. Could I point out that occasionally it may be necessary for the subcommittee to take legal advice. At my discretion, I may ask all parties to wait in this meeting whilst members and the relevant officers withdraw to take legal advice using a separate meeting within Microsoft Teams. We'll then return to this meeting and continue. Please note that at any time the live stream being broadcast on the City Council's website fails, I will ask all of you to mute your microphones and cameras and to stop speaking until the live stream is restored. If at any time this meeting goes into private session, the meeting manager will pause the live stream. Once the private part of the meeting is over, I will ask the meeting manager to confirm that the live stream has resumed before we continue. At the conclusion of the hearing, I will invite all parties to make a brief closing submission. Can I stress that no decision will be taken until all the evidence has been heard? At the decision-making stage, the members and all the relevant officers will withdraw from this meeting in order to determine the decision. They will go into a separate Microsoft Teams meeting. In the event that members need to clarify any point, you'll be telephoned by the meeting manager. The members will then ask to make their decision. You'll be notified of the decision of the subcommittee within 5 working days. I hope that's all reasonably straightforward. So with that, can I ask the licensing officer, Bapinda Nandra, to present the report, please, as slowly and clearly as you can, please.
Thank you, Chair. The applicant applied on the 6th of July 2022 for the grant of a premises licence for TMC Cafe and Lounge, 81 Buckingham Street, Birmingham, B19 3HU. The purpose of the report is to consider a representation that has been made in respect of an application for a premises licence, which initially sought to permit the sale of alcohol for consumption on the premises to operate from 10 AM until 3 AM Monday to Thursday and 10 AM until 5:30 AM Friday to Sunday. The provision of regulated entertainment consisting of live music and recorded music to operate from 10 AM until 3:30 AM Monday to Thursday and 10 AM until 6 AM Friday to Sunday. To permit the provision of late night refreshment from 11 PM till 3:30 AM Monday to Thursday and 11 PM until 5:30 AM Friday to Sunday. The premises to remain open to the public from 10 AM until 3:30 AM Monday to Thursday and 10 AM until 6 AM Friday to Sunday. In addition, all licensable activities will be restricted to the internal areas of the premises and not permitted outdoors. After discussions with West Midlands Police, the applicant has agreed to cease all licensable activities at 2 AM Sunday to Thursday and 4 AM Friday and Saturday, with the premises to close at 2:30 AM Sunday to Thursday and 4:30 AM Friday and Saturday. The agreement, including additional conditions, is attached as an appendix to this report. A representation has been received from other persons, which is attached at Appendix 1. The application is attached at Appendix 2. Conditions have been agreed with West Midlands Police and the applicant, which are attached at Appendix 3. The site location plans are attached at Appendix 4. When carrying out its licensing functions, a licensing authority must have regard to Birmingham City Council's Statement of Licensing Policy and the guidance issued by the Secretary of State under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003. The licensing authority is also required to take such steps as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. The options available to the subcommittee today are to grant the licence in accordance with the application, to reject the application, to grant the licence subject to conditions modified to such an extent as considered appropriate, exclude from the licence any other licensable activities to which the application relates, or to refuse to specify a person in the licence as the premises supervisor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Bapinda. Would the applicant like to make their presentation now, please? Patrick Burke.
Sorry, Chair, it's Ryan Skidmore, I believe.
Oh, sorry, Ryan Skidmore.
Good morning. So yeah, TMC Cafe and Lounge has applied for the licence to serve alcohol with live and recorded music for the hours stated, and we understand that a number of representations from the public have been made that relate to previous applications for different premises upon the same street. I think we should all be mindful that the applicant has been proactive throughout the whole application, agreeing conditions with the police.
Mr. Skidmore, can I just ask that you put your camera on, please?
Yeah, sure. Is that okay?
Yes,
Yep.
that's fine, thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so we understand that representations have been made from the public, but Mr. Ngusse has been proactive throughout the application, completing. He's had the police come around to the premises, or he's done a meeting with them to discuss conditions which he's agreed to. He's also changed the times based off their recommendations. Should suit members of the public, as it's with the slightly earlier opening hours. With a lot of the representations, we do feel that there are a lot relating to previous applications and lack sufficient evidence for why there'd be crime in the area, etc., caused by this application.
Thank you. Nothing further. Okay, I'll open that to councillors if they'd like to ask any questions.
I am. Yeah.
Councillor Morale, yes.
Thank you, Chair. So I suppose my question will be, well, two questions. First question is, what type of entertainment is going to be at the venue? If you could just explain, like, give us a mission statement about the cafe. What is the unique selling point of this particular premises compared to the other premises locally? And the question I really need to ask is, we have a letter here from the landlord, which I understand is a civil matter, but I do believe that we should explore it on licensing just to get an overview of it. There's a civil dispute, isn't there, between the landlord and yourselves, and I'd like to know how you think that's going to affect your licensing activities, because it feels like they're not happy with you, and I'd like to explore that. Why is the landlord not happy, and is that something we should be concerned about on licensing?
Relating to the application itself, from conversations with Mr. Ngusi, the cafe is going to be cafe during the day and then a lounge during the evening. So it's just give more options for people in the area during the week and at the weekends to go out a bit later. Relating to the leasing, that kind of thing, it might be best for Mr. Ngusi to speak regarding that part. I'm not 100% sure on that bit. Would it be okay to Mr. Ngusi to speak?
Yeah.
Is that all right if I could go ahead?
Yes, please.
Lovely, thank you very much. With the landlord being, I think the landlord is our next door neighbour, and that's where the objectors are coming from. I don't personally know the landlord. I would like to have a personal connection with them, because I am more than happy to look after their business. If their business is, because their main concern is getting robbed and people coming and stuff like that. I'm not that type of person. I'm more than happy to make sure that their business is looked after, just exactly how they would like to look after mine. So the landlord has given it to a different gentleman. So I am he's subletting it basically from him. So I don't actually know the landlord himself, as well as obviously the KV London. I think there's two business partners. They have a next door neighbor business. It is up to them, because I didn't know when I took this place off the guy named David. He did say, it's okay for everything to go ahead and stuff like that. I didn't know all the restrictions and stuff like that was mentioned, and I did speak to him as well. He did inform me that he's gonna have an in-depth discussion with them. So I don't. It's just between them two. Any issue they have, I am more than happy to take it with them and work out what best for us. So David is going to be having a chat with them, not me. So, and obviously we'll pick it up later today or maybe next time. So that's where it is. In terms of the points that was made on the email, thank you very much, Fundings, for sending it over to myself. I did have a read. All the things that I mentioned, I do get their worries, but I'm not that type of person. I don't involve in gangs and stuff like that, because I did mention that it's quite intimidating for them to get in a house because of people are looking like gangs. I don't know what is the definition of them gangs. If it's a bunch of black men just in the area, and I don't know, because I know there's people upstairs who got business, do a bit of music and stuff. They do go up and down, but they're quite nice people. They might come across, I don't know, they work out 3-4 people going in and outside. They're not intimidating at all. They're quite nice people to speak to. So in terms of the area, it's not me. I do have a picture of the road being fully packed. It's not me. There's a different business in the road that do I don't know, pack their stuff here and there. But my people, the people that are going to come to me, I kind of know them personally, so I'll make sure they are not disturbing the neighborhood or the neighbors that I have in which is KV London and Gabriel. Their business is not being impacted. In terms of, I think our business and their business is met by by a shutter, but I did make sure I covered it off with the plasterboard, so no one knows there's a shutter there. And also in between, there's a sofa sat there, so I don't see anyone jumping in through that to get to their business. And that's not going to happen. I know they've had a previous bad experience. I get that, because there was a different gentleman who had that as a business for a gym. Unfortunately, during lockdown, where a lot of us were suffering and a lot of death was happening, they did manage to throw a party in there, which is quite wrong. I do not support it at all. But that person is no longer in the business, no longer in the house, and they did manage to go over the roof and messed up the whole building. So they're probably quite worried that's going to happen the same thing. It is not going to happen like that. I'll make sure everything's looked after. Have all the CCTVs. Did have in-depth discussion with the West Midland Police. Did recommend me a lot of stuff. I did take everything on board. I did email back to the conditions that he wrote back, and he was quite obviously happy with the discussions he had with me. He was quite. He said, "Yeah, you seem understanding and stuff." Secondly, there was a made point by the objector where the police came over and did raid the building. When I was in the building, it was around May-ish. I don't know if you have a report somewhere with the West Midland Police. I was the one that actually come there and say to them, look, any issue, let me know. I open every single door for them to make sure, because there was reported of weed and illegal drugs being grown in the building. It is not, as I said, my business downstairs, other guys' business upstairs, a couple of 2 or 3 rooms upstairs where people do a bit of music and stuff like that. And I think there's a couple of gentlemen where, most of them of obviously black race, but we are quite nice people. We might come across people come together, 5, 6 people. It doesn't mean anything. We are more than happy to make sure KV London and Gabriel, their business, are looked after. So what I did was I made sure it was open for the police, and there was 2 lovely ladies from the West Midland Police. I was quite happy with myself. I gave them my telephone number, I gave them my address to make sure if there's anything. When they come in, they have left us a report where they said no, was nothing for, and they was quite sorry because they messed up. They broke about 5, 6 doors because all doors are connected. So we lock out. So the people upstairs don't have access to my place. They can't get in through the internal door. They have to come through the main door, which I have CCTV and stuff like that in. They didn't find anything, no drugs, nothing. They was quite sorry. They did, I think West Midland Police did mention, actually have covered the expenses for the door breakage and stuff like that. So nothing was found. I think the point made from KV London where they said there were a lot of cash found and as well as drugs, there wasn't nothing found in the place. I can forward you the report from West Midland Police, which I have in my phone. I can email it over to you guys. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Nguse. Are there any further questions from members?
No further questions. Thank you, Chair.
No questions from me.
Thank you. Right, so we'll move on. So would those making representations like to make their presentation now, please?
Chair, Mr. Malice is here and he is making a representation. So if he could speak now, he needs to unmute his microphone.
Yeah, you're.
Good morning. My name is Gabriel Malice. I'm the landlord of the building. I do not know this gentleman who spoke, never met him, never spoke to him. We rented the place for a gentleman called Simon, but he also goes under the name David. So,
Mr. Malice, can you put your camera on, please?
Yeah. We rented the place to a gentleman called Simon. We do not know him in the name of David. This gentleman who spoke at the moment, they lock the building. We don't have entrance. We don't know what's going on. We did not complain to the police to start with. The police made their investigations. They came and looked around the building. They thought there was some smelling in the building. They came to our side and then investigated and then went in to raid the place. It's been raided twice, so we don't really know what they're doing. We never gave them permission to have a drinks or restaurant or coffee. The place is industrial building or SEP for offices. So this is what I can't understand. Without our permission, without our consent, they seems to do whatever they want. And even our lawyer wrote to them about not paying the rent, and they're not allowed to lease and sublease to other businesses, completely ignored it. So he said, well, they have no respect to the law or to the lease. So I don't know where the gentleman he's talking about, that he never met us, he never talked to us, he never ever introduced himself to us.
You're on mute.
Chair, you're on mute.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Malas. Is there anything further you'd like to say?
Well, really, it's a not very good place for the environment and the community. We want to keep it that way. We want to keep it safe. I've been told, I don't live in Birmingham, I live in Kent. I've been told by managers there, it's a lot of litter there, and people frightened even to walk in the streets. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open it over to members now for any members who'd like to ask any questions.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Morale, thank you.
So obviously you're not in Birmingham, but do you currently have a civil case against the applicant or the so-called, who you think is currently you've leased the property to? Do you have a civil case against them at the moment?
At the moment, it's in the hand of the solicitor. We want to forfeit the lease, and because of all these problems, they're breaking all the rules of the lease, and it's in the hand of the solicitor.
Okay. Well, technically, legally, it doesn't necessarily affect us on licensing, just to let you know. Because it's a civil matter, it's totally separate, so we can still, if we were to grant a license, the civil case would go forward. But I think it's really important in this committee that the applicant is aware, because there seems to be some hierarchy going on here, that the applicant wasn't aware this civil dispute was happening, because I wouldn't want the applicant to get a license from us and put loads of money into a business venture that wouldn't happen. So I think that's really important, that whatever happens away from this licensing committee, that you guys get together and sort this out. But I do need to let you know that on a licensing committee, civil disputes over a landlord and property.
Of course, we had the same problem with the next door tenant, who twice he applied for license for similar things and was rejected, and now he's still operating without a license, and that case also is in the hand of the solicitor. But as you know, it takes time to get through things, and it has to be through legal matters. We can't take the law into our hands. And the matter of this gentleman saying that he had a gym, we had a problem with the gym. No, we never had any problem with the gym who was operating there. It was Mr. David called himself, but to us is Simon on the papers. He evicted him and took, as far as I'm concerned, he took all their belonging and he couldn't do anything about it. We tried to help him out to get his things back, and Mr. Simon refused. Apparently, he has another warehouse, taken all the belonging to the people and put them there. And the police aware of it.
Thank you. No further
Thank
questions.
you.
Okay.
Carry on, Councillor Morale.
No, that's it. No further questions. Thank you.
No
Chair.
further questions. Okay, thank you. No further questions, Councillor Locke.
I haven't, Councillor Morales. That's what I wanted
Okay.
to.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, thank you, Mr. Malas. And with that,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll take this in reverse order. So do those making representations wish to make a closing submission? Mr. Mallas, would you like to make a closing submission?
Regarding what? What do you mean by that?
Anything you'd like to say, just to sum up what you've already said?
Well, really, we want to let the place to nice people, to keep the place clean, tidy, and to use it for what is used to be, and not to take the law into their hand and doing it how what they want to do, and ignoring all the laws, and we even write to them and they don't reply.
Thank you.
Thank
Right,
you.
thank you. Does the applicant wish to make a closing submission?
Yes, please, Chair, if that's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Ngusi.
Yeah, I'm more than happy because I haven't seen Mr. Mallas before. I'm more than happy to come for him to come to the place and check it out, and he will be happy that I am going to be looking after his place. If that's his place, I'm more than happy to look. I would rather work with him than the middleman.
Can you put your camera on, Mr. Ngusi?
Yeah,
Sorry.
sure. Fortunately, I'm using a Mac, which I'm not familiar with. I don't know. Okay, I think that might be it. Can you see me now? Lovely stuff. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm more than happy for him to come over. In terms of the party that I mentioned earlier, it was lockdown. I've lost a lot of people through lockdown. We struggled. We lost people that we loved. It was wrong of the person who threw a party then. Second, obviously, raid. I mentioned earlier, nothing was found. I think Mr. Mallas, I haven't spoken to him. In terms of the litter and stuff like that, I'll make sure my place is not dirty because I can't be responsible to the business that next door not throwing stuff in the streets. But I'll make sure the people that come to my business are leaving their litter in the house, not outside, not throw it. I'll make sure anything that I notice, I'll give it a clean because having a clean road means people will be attracted to my business because if the road is dirty, people automatically think, oh, this must be a rubbish place. So I don't want my road to be dirty. And I love Birmingham City Council. Birmingham has given me a lot of opportunities. Since I come in here as a refugee, I want to give back to my community. I want to give back to the people that I know of. I'm trying to, because my aim is, we've lost a lot of people due to knife crime and stuff like that we know of. I just make sure people come to my place, speak, get to know each other because a lot of people have, especially within my community, especially during lockdown, we lost people that we know of because of unwanted stuff. So I was trying to bring the community together to make sure we speak out and discuss. So that's the main aim of the plan, really, to bring my people in there, just to get to know each other and take it from there. I'm more than happy to work with Mr. Mallas. In terms of the guy called David, we know him as David, but his name is Simon Peter. He's made me aware that there isn't any legal battle as I'm aware of with Mr. Mallas. In terms of his manager, I did see her a couple of times coming in the building. Did say hi. I'm more than happy to work with her. Maybe I might come across. Maybe she hasn't spoken to me in real life. I'm more than happy to work with them. I don't want their business to be impacted. In terms of the blockade, they never used to use that place to get in a business inside and out because that shutter is fully closed. They only can get their stuff via the entrance. And the thing is, the entrance they're using to get to the place is next to the people that they did mention, quite intimidating and stuff like that. Did make sure that none of my people are going to be intimidating Mr. Mallas and his business partner. In terms of the road being fully packed, I can't control that because the business next door do have a lot of people come through. I'm trying to make sure my people, the people that come to my place, there's a free car parking. It's only paid £22.50 you pay for the whole night, 24 hours service. I'll make sure I encourage them to park their car in there so that way the pedestrian way is not fully blocked to make sure safety, because the 4 licensing objectives has to be met within myself, and I'll make sure I am going to be pushing for that. I have as much CCTV as possible to catch criminals, people who are going to be littering and throwing stuff, or I don't know, intimidating people, because I'll make sure that is readily available for the police if they come and request for it. And I have all the rejection people who are too drunk, because I worked as a brand manager for 5 years. So I know what it is. I can spot a drunk person without them speaking. So I'll make sure they get refused. I'll make sure if they are fully intoxicated, I'll make sure I call the ambulance for them to make sure they get looked after, because I did have in-depth discussion with the West Midland Police that he's made me aware of a lot of things I wasn't aware. I'm glad that I've had a chat with him. So I'm more than happy to hit all these for license objectives that has been set out by, obviously, by you guys, the council. And any issues I have, any issue that is in the building, I'm more than happy to give that information back to the police. I have more than 10 TB of CCTV storage in the building. I'm looking to put 5, 6, 8 CCTVs in the building just to make sure I don't miss anything. In terms of underage drinking, I'll make sure that doesn't happen. I'm going to be the DPS as well as the personal license holder. So we're not going to have a lot of stuff. Me and my brother, there's going to be 2 people, but I'll make sure any sort of alcohol has been obviously passed through me and stuff like that. So more than happy to work with Mr. Malas. The more he gets to know me, he will understand I'm not actually a good, nice person. I am a people's person. I am more than happy to work with people, communities and stuff. In terms of the community, there isn't so much building. Are you guys probably aware of the building? The area there is about, I don't know, half a mile away where the next buildings are. So I don't see the community being disturbed. But if the community comes to me, more than happy to work with my hours. If they say, no, I'm not happy with you closing at 4 o'clock because Colin Coyers, I could push it down to 2 o'clock. I am more than happy to work with the people. I don't want to work against the people. I want to work with the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ngosi. Thank you, everybody. I will now ask all parties to leave the Microsoft Teams meeting, and the members, the lawyer, the committee lawyer and the committee manager will go into the...
Mr. Mallis had his hand up.
Mr. Mallis,
Well, can I speak?
you made your closing submissions.
Okay.
If it's very brief, then go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, just an reply to the gentleman. Next door neighbor also is a church, and we are a business, and they're making this kind of business in a way offer to open business like this the whole night. I don't think it's inappropriate. Plus, in our lease, there is no such thing they can do work after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So the lease will not change. And I want him to save his money, not to go into expenses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mallis. Okay, thank you, everybody, once again. Right, so I'll just repeat that. We'll now ask all parties to leave the Microsoft Teams meeting, and the members, the committee lawyer and the committee manager will go into the private session while the subcommittee makes its decision. You'll be notified of the decision of the subcommittee within 5 working days. Thank you, everyone.